Welcome back to the table. Today, Emily and I are going to give you a look at Flock Together. This is a new game from a new publisher, Sea Cow Games, and this is a 1 to 5 player co-op game.
Yes.
The game was provided to us by the publisher, just want to say that up front. We had a chance to play it, so we're going to share with you what the game is doing overall and how it's played. This is a co-op game, and what we have here, I'll show you the components really quick. We've got a big board here, so big that some of our player boards are mostly off camera here. But on the player board, we have the coop in the center, which is one of the areas you can be, and then outside of the coop, which is where all of the predators are, some of the grubs. We've got some bonus cards up in the upper left-hand corner. We've got this, which is effectively the game tracker down here. And then, like I said, we have our player boards around here, and the player boards everything's very well produced. The player boards particularly are dual layered with a little trough to put your chicken book.
Yes.
You each get a chicken book at the beginning, or two actually, and you can choose from that. And you put it on its first level, which is the first page open to it. And then throughout the game, you'll be able to level that up. And then a space here for your food and your eggs, and then a nice helpful reminder of all the actions you can take on your turn. But overall, what are we doing in the game, Emily?
Well, we are chickens, right?
We are chickens.
Obviously, we're chickens. And as chickens, though, we have kind of been ostracized by society and the rest of our, friends. And everyone's decided that they don't like chickens anymore. They think they're dumb. So instead, we've created our own chicken place. And that's where we have the coop.
The coop.
Led by Andrew Beakley.
Old Andrew Beakley.
And he's died. He's passed away from the bird flu.
Let's give a moment of silence for Andrew. Thank you.
But he had a prophecy that if we could just survive this 1 year, right? If we can get rid of the predators and just survive this 1 year, then he'll know we're on our way to success and we're doing exactly what we need to do.
Yes, it's on our little feathered shoulders to make this work and survive the seasons this year.
Yes.
Because then our success is assured.
So what we have going against us is we have some pretty bad weather conditions coming our way. It's hard out here for a chicken. And we also have some predators out there in the wild that we want to fend off so that way we can stay safe in our coop. So we are all going to be working together. We're each our own chicken, and we're going to start as a chick, and we're going to level up over time so that way we can do more for our coop and we can defend from the predators. And what we want is by the end of 3 seasons, we want to all be alive. So we got to all stay alive.
Yep.
And we want to defend from all of the different predators.
Yeah, we have to defeat all 4 of these predators. And 3 of them out on the board, as you can see, we've got, who's that, Salmonella?
Salmonella.
By the way, the puns are aplenty in this game. We've got Professor Moriarty and Esmeralda here. Up here, we don't know who that is. Truth be told, we know who it is because that's who we didn't defeat. They defeated us. But the boss, if you will, is going to be up there. You have to defeat these other 3 before you can go up there and try to even attempt the boss. And then the boss is going to be quite a bit stronger.
Yes.
And all of them's strength, they're based on player count. So the hit points that they have are going to be what they are depending on how many players are at the table. Plus, if you go season after season, they too will level up and get even harder. So even if you've nicked them down a little bit, or pecked them down rather, they're going to sort of revitalize and get a whole bunch more health plus a little that they might have had left, and then you have to get them all the way back down again until you get them off the board. When you do get them off the board, they have some loot, which is cool. Whoever does that, the finishing blow, is going to get that to sort of help them do what they're trying to do. Now, what are you trying to do? Well, there's a lot of actions you can take to do that. On your turn, you're going to basically take 2 of these actions across the bottom of your board and then move on. So throughout all of the seasons, I think we did the math correctly, you're going to take about 45 actions in all because of the seasons and the way things work out. So in those 45 actions, simple as that, you've got to survive, you've got to take care of all the predators.
And also the way they split it up too is that you're going to have actions you can take while you're in the coop and actions you can take while you're on the outside. So sometimes when you're out, you want to go outside so you can defend from the predators and also get some food, but you want to go back inside so you can heal, maybe revive somebody who might have died a little bit earlier.
That can be important.
Or even lay some eggs, right?
Yeah, so some of those actions across the bottom of your board and how they're divvied up, the ones that happen inside the coop are lay an egg, heal, and brood. Again, that's inside the coop. If you're not in there, you can't do these things. However, some of the weather cards that we encountered broke some of those rules.
Yes,
Maybe
yes.
when it was really freezing cold, we could do some other things inside the coop that we couldn't typically. But when you lay an egg, you simply gain an egg. Now, it's important to realize if you're a chick, you're not laying any eggs. So this is going to be something that takes place a little further into the game. And eggs are usually used to convert to food.
Yes.
Because food is what makes the world go round here in terms of what you need to spend. The next one is to heal. This is going to be something you're going to have hit points at the beginning of the game. You might get more as you level up. You certainly will. But the predators are going to take them away. Maybe even some of the grubs, I think.
Yes.
The grubs are another thing that you can attack. But you can heal here. And again, healing depends on what level you're at in terms of how much you can heal. And then finally, brood. You can pay 1 egg to revive another player. This is something I don't think we did during our play.
We didn't have anything happen in our play, but it is nice that it's kind of a backup there. So if somebody does just want to say like, okay, we're really close to defeating him, I'm just going to sacrifice myself and then I'm going to die so that way we can kill him too. We can do that as long as someone else is willing to brood, lose their next action, and then that person will get to come back as a chick with one of the other player boards from outside of the game.
Yeah, you can revive them. They are a chick. They're not as helpful as they may have been if they were a full-grown rooster or hen. But it is one of those conditions for winning the game, so you better bring them back to life.
And then there's some things you can do no matter where you're at. So you can always move. So you can move anywhere. You can move from the coop to any of the other outside spots. You might want to move near an enemy, so you can specifically be attacking that enemy next. And then you can also draw cards. So we can have up to 2 bonus cards. And these are kind of game-breaking cards, right, where they're going to do something special. Like I have one in front of me that says -1 to an enemy attack, which is great. It's kind of like a defense. -1 to a predator's roll. You have stuff that gives you health, gives you resources.
All sorts of stuff.
And you have also stuff that can be used on a teammate, right? So these can be helpful too for you to grab them just because you're like, oh, I know David's about to attack. I'm going to try to grab some things, see if I can do anything to help when he does his attacks.
And speaking of attacks, that's another thing you can do anywhere. Now, depending on where you are, dictates what you can attack.
Yes.
Inside the coop, you can attack these inside grubs. Outside the coop, if you're at any of these locations, you can attack the corresponding predator or this pile of grubs from any of those locations. Now, when you attack, it's very deterministic, really, for the most part. You're going to commit some amount of food based on the level you're at and the damage that you can do, and you'll simply do that damage to that predator. However, a lot of the predators and some of the grubs are going to have a die that they roll and damage that they do back. Now, some of them will just do damage back straight up, and you take that damage too, like I said, very deterministic. But some of them are going to have you roll this, by the way, adorable chicken die. The face is a 6.
Chicken.
The rear end, and I mean rear end, is the 1. You're going to roll that up, and the predator might have like a die that says...
Like Salmonella says, you may not eat until the next egg exchange. So that's hard.
Yes.
We haven't gotten to eating yet, but it gives you different status effects, right, that are going to affect you if they roll the right thing.
Or maybe do damage. Or, in the case of a lot of the grubs, if you roll really poorly, you might just miss, and so the attack doesn't happen. But that's how you resolve the attacks, and that is really what the game is about at the end of the day, because we do want to defeat a lot of these predators. And you may be asking, why do you want to defeat grubs? The grub cards will give you abilities. So when you defeat a grub, you're going to take that grub, whoever defeated it, and put it next to your board. You can have as many grubs as you want, but a lot of them have effects. Like this one says, give 3 food to a teammate. So at any point, I could just discard that card, and a teammate could get 3 food. Again, these feel a lot like the bonus cards in many respects. They just kind of give you situational opportunities. However, some of them, like with my character, actually benefited from grubs. I was able to not only attack grubs no matter where I was in both of those piles, but later in the game, and I wish I would have done this, I didn't. If I had a bunch of grubs, I could actually use their health as supplemental health for my own. And that is one interesting thing. A lot of these characters have some asymmetric powers, and you can, quote unquote, flock together. I think we played with Alicia, and her character too is one that, like, if she was with you, she could take some of the damage for you. So it definitely brings in some of those things you'd expect from a co-op in terms of like, oh, well, why don't you come with me and we'll do this because I'm about to die and you can take some. And that's what Alicia was basically the tank.
She was Attila the hen.
Attila the hen. Again, puns abound in this game.
And what's important too is that so the other action you can do is you can eat when you're outside. This is going to be important because that's how you level up, right? You all start as chicks, and then you can level up to a cockerel or a pullet, and then you become a hen or a rooster.
Yes.
So when you are a hen and a rooster, you have all of your abilities, right? But as you're leveling up, you're getting them slowly, you're getting more health. So you really want to make sure you're leveling up over time, because it's not just helping you with health and your ability to hit, but it's also giving you these new things you can do. And like David said, when you're adding all of them together, you can come to some really cool combos.
Yeah, that is really interesting. And then the last action you can do outside is to forage. This is simply to gather some food. One forage lets you take one food and add it to your food reservoir, which is where you're going to use it to eat. You can't just eat willy-nilly. You have to have the food. And you have to have some eggs potentially, because at certain points throughout the season, we're going to be able to convert eggs into food. That's the exchange. And then when we get to the end of the season, it's just going to come back to the beginning. We get a new weather card, and we're going to do that again in the summer and the fall. And all of these decks have different weather cards with slightly different effects.
Yes.
And I can tell you, like a co-op game, if you've played this a few times, you're going to know what the cards are in here to some degree. And you're going to think to yourself, oh, I hope it's not that card that's coming. Because if it's that card, given our situation right now, it's going to be very challenging.
Yes.
And speaking of challenging, like we said earlier, we did not win. So like a good co-op, this is not a pushover game, for sure. In our first play, we did come right down to it.
Right down to the last one, yes.
Yeah, so we were about to do it, but
you have a lot you have to get done. And like David said, that last boss is a lot more health than everybody else. So you really have to plan it well so that you got to be ticking these guys down quickly. You don't want to just wait till the end and then hope that you get there, because you might not.
Yeah, so that was our experience playing Flock Together. If you have any questions at all about the game, please make them in the comments below. And of course, check out their campaign for even more details. Until next time, of course, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.